We only have one FOSS story, free and open source, and it's about F-Droid, which is the open source app store for Android users. And there's a repository overhaul in the new client 1.2. It's a little bit technical, but let's dive into it. So previously, if you added a new repo, it would get added with a higher priority than the pre-added official F-Droid repo, which allowed the newly added repo to override apps built by F-Droid. Maybe a good example of this is if you use something like NewPipe and you added the NewPipe repo manually, the newly added NewPipe repo that you added would override apps built by F-Droid. This could alter the app description and offer their own versions for the app for installation. Now, with the new 1.2 release of the F-Droid client, newly added repos get added with a lower priority so that apps from the F-Droid repo take precedent by default. Furthermore, when tapping an app, the user sees the app details screen as usual, but a new box at the top clearly shows the repo the app comes from. And if the app is available from more than one repo, the box in the app details screen should become a dropdown where the user can see all the repos and choose which one should be used for installation, updates, and app information. It's now also possible to reorder the position of repos in the list. For example, if NewPipe's repo was I didn't even see that. That was my example, and it's in the notes too. So here we go. And we're going to do the example again because I didn't go that far ahead. If NewPipe's repo is added and the user always wants to prefer apps from that repo, they can now move the NewPipe repo to the top. I'm glad that my example fit with that. Repos can have an archive where old apps or old versions of apps that are no longer relevant get moved to. Historically, these archives were shown as regular repos to the user, but now they're no longer shown in the list, but have moved to the detail screen of each repo. I think this is an interesting change. From an end user perspective, I don't think this is a pro or a con for my F-Droid usage. It's just a different F-Droid usage. I think generally I actually kind of understand the original workflow better because a lot of times for me, like I'm getting, back in the day, it was Bromite that you got from its own repo and you get NewPipe from its own repo. And if you add those repos for a singular app, it's because you want it from that repo and not from the F-Droid repo. Assuming Bromite was in the original F-Droid repo, which I don't think it ever was. But my point is when you add a manual repo, I think it's kind of implied that's the one you want to use. But I feel like there's now a lot more repos. I think there's, what's the big one?
Izzy.
Izzy, yes, Izzy's repo. I could see how like maybe you get Izzy's for like one app, but you don't want to use Izzy for everything else. And I think that's where this might make more sense is for these bigger ones.
Hey there, thanks for watching this surveillance clip. This is actually clipped from our main podcast surveillance report where we talk about privacy and security news on a weekly basis to keep you safe as often as we can. If you want something to listen to while you're driving to work maybe, check out the full channel at Surveillance Report, or you can stay subscribed to Surveillance Clips. Either way, we'll see you next time.